My wife cheated while I worked double shifts to pay our mortgage, so I transferred everything to my name and left. Her with nothing but regret. I'm a 34-year-old guy, and for the last 6 years I've been working myself to the bone to build a future for my wife and me. I wake up before sunrise, lace up steel-toe boots, and punch in at a manufacturing plant that eats men alive by the hour. I haul crates, work machines that scream louder than my thoughts, and come home with hands that smell like oil and metal. Double shifts became normal. Weekends weren't for rest, they were for catching up on bills, or stashing away more for the down payment on the house Lisa wanted. Lisa. She used to wait for me at the door with that tired but warm smile. In the early years, she'd pack my lunch, text me midday to check on me, light a candle when I walked in just to make dinner feel special. I used to believe I won the lottery marrying her, but something changed. Slowly, the warmth started to cool. Texts became shorter. Calls went unanswered. Hugs felt more like habits than gestures of love. At first I blamed myself, told myself she was lonely, that she needed more of me, and I was giving everything to a job instead. I know it's hard. Babe, I told her once as she scrolled through her phone during dinner, just a few more months. Once we get the house, everything will settle down. She didn't even look up. She said, chewing. Still, I told myself she was just tired, same as me. I convinced myself this grind was temporary, that our future together was worth this season of distance. That one day she'd look at that house and say, "He built this for us." I didn't realize I was financing her freedom, chaining myself to a lie. When we finally signed the papers for the house, I thought it would be the start of everything we dreamed of. A quiet 2-story place in a decent neighborhood with a patch of grass out front and a fixer-upper charm. I remember holding Lisa's hand at the closing and saying, "We did it." She smiled, but it didn't quite reach her eyes. The down payment nearly wiped me out. I had to dip into the small savings account I'd built since my 20s money I swore I'd never touch unless it was an emergency or for our future. But Lisa had insisted we move fast, said homes in that area would be gone if we waited. I trusted her urgency. I wanted her to be happy. Once we moved in, I figured things would feel different. But Lisa seemed even more distant. She stopped working altogether, saying she wanted to focus on herself. She talked about maybe starting a blog or getting into fitness coaching or finding her passion. I supported it. Told her she didn't need to rush into anything, so I picked up more hours. More double shifts. I started skipping lunch to get ahead on bills. Every time I sat down, I thought about the mortgage, the utilities. The property tax, meanwhile. Lisa redecorated the house with expensive furniture and ordered meal kits because she said cooking stressed her out. She'd sleep in, go out in the evenings, and post gym selfies that got more. Revealing as time went on, one day, I came home early and she wasn't there. Just a cold, half-eaten smoothie on the counter and a scent I didn't recognize lingering in the hallway. Still, told myself she just needed space. That she was adjusting. That maybe I wasn't giving enough. But the truth? I'd shackled myself to a house. And to someone who was already halfway out the door, it got to the point where Lisa barely spoke to me unless I spoke first. I'd walk in the door, drenched in sweat and sawdust, and she'd be curled up on the couch, eyes glued to her phone. Barely glancing up. "Hey," I'd say, tossing my keys in the bowl by the door. "Hey," she'd mutter without looking up. Fingers dancing across the screen. The silences between us used to be comfortable. Now they felt loaded, heavy, like everything unsaid was sitting between us. Smothering whatever was left, I'd ask how her day went. "Fine, what did she do?" "Just stuff. Did she eat?" Yeah, that was the extent of our conversations most days. She started going out more. "Dinner with the girls," she'd say, dressed in something tight and low-cut. "Spa day." "Brunch." Always with vague names I didn't recognize, Tasha, Arinessa. I once offered to drop her off somewhere. She laughed. "You don't have to play chauffeur. It's girls only." I stopped asking. The bed felt colder too. She'd fall asleep facing the wall, or pretend to be asleep when I crawled in. I'd lie there staring at the ceiling fan, wondering how two people could be this close in distance and yet feel like strangers. I tried. God, I tried. Planned a date night. Booked a small dinner spot we used to love. She canceled last minute. Said she wasn't feeling well an hour later. I saw a tagged photo on social media, Lisa, at a rooftop bar, drink in hand, laughing with someone who definitely wasn't just the girls. I stared at that screen for a long time. My heart didn't even race. It just sank somewhere deep down. I think I knew. I just wasn't ready to admit it yet. One night I came home earlier than usual. My shift had ended 3 hours early because of a machine malfunction, and I figured I'd surprise Lisa with takeout. When I turned the corner onto our street, I saw a sleek black car parked in our driveway, a model I'd never seen before. At first, thought maybe she had friends over. But as I walked up, I noticed the front lights were dimmed, curtains drawn. The house was silent, except for faint laughter from inside. My heart started pounding in a way that didn't feel right. I stepped in quietly. The living room smelled faintly of call not mine. Lisa came down the hallway, startled, hair messy, wearing one of those satin robes she usually saved for special nights. "You're home early," she said, clutching the robe tighter. "Whose car is that?" I asked, setting the food on the counter without breaking eye contact. She blinked once, then smiled, that performative smile she used when lying. "A friend from my wellness group. We were just talking about some business stuff." I nodded, pretending to buy it, but inside I knew. Something was deeply off that night while she showered. I searched the car's license plate online. It wasn't registered to any Nora or Ari. It belonged to a man. For days, my mind spiraled. I couldn't focus at work. I'd look at her texts lighting up her phone, feel my stomach twist when she turned it face dash down. So I did something I'm not proud of. I installed a small hidden camera in the living room, tucked behind a decorative vase. It wasn't revenge. It was clarity. I needed to know. A few nights later, during another night shift, I checked the footage on my break. There she was, Lisa, laughing on our couch. Legs draped over a man I'd never seen. My sandwich slipped from my hand, and in that frozen frame, everything I'd been denying finally shattered. I didn't sleep that night. I watched the footage over and over, each replay tightening something in my chest. Lisa didn't just betray Mish. She looked happy doing it. Laughing, curled up next to him, like she belonged there. Like our home, our life, our sacrifices meant nothing. I waited until the weekend. I wanted to look her in the eye when I said it. She was sipping coffee in the kitchen, scrolling through her phone like it was any other morning. "Lisa," I said, calm and quiet. "We need to talk." She glanced up, eyebrows raised. "What now?" I reached into my pocket, pulled out my phone, and played the video. No intro, no warnings. Just the raw footage of her wrapped around that guy on our couch in my home. While I was breaking my back to keep us afloat, she stared for a second, blinked, then crossed her arms and scoffed. "Wow, you were spying on me?" she said flatly. Like that was the problem. My throat was dry. "Who is he?" "None of your business," she said. "You want to act like some martyr for working overtime, but you haven't been here. You're more married to your job than to me." She wasn't ashamed. She wasn't sorry. She was defensive. "I was killing myself for this life," I said. "For us, and I didn't ask you to," she snapped. "You made yourself the victim. Maybe if you'd been around, I wouldn't have had to find someone who actually made me feel something." She walked past me like she'd won an argument, grabbed her purse, and slammed the door on the way out. She didn't come home that night. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I just stood in that quiet kitchen, gripping my coffee until it went cold. I spent the next day wandering the house like a ghost. Every wall, every photo, every piece of furniture tainted. It was all built on a foundation I thought we poured together. Turns out I was the only one holding the bucket. I needed answers. Not just emotional, closurial answers. So I did something I should have done a long time ago. I started going through our paperwork. Bank statements, utility bills, old envelopes I had ignored because I was too exhausted to care. Asterisks, that's when I found it. A separate account, in Lisa's name only. Regular deposits monthly, like clockwork. thousands of dollars tucked away. Some of the transfers came from our joint account. Some came from a credit card I didn't even know we had. I called the bank, gave them the card number, and my stomach turned when I heard the balance. She'd maxed it out and under my name. I confronted her that night. Sat calmly at the table with every document laid out in front of me. "What the hell is this?" I asked as she walked in. She barely flinched. "Savings?" she said flatly, dropping her keys on the counter. "In your name? With my money? In this card?" I slid it across the table. Lisa rolled her eyes. "Oh, come on! Don't be dramatic. I needed a little flexibility, and you're always working. What's the big deal?" The big deal? She was stealing from me. Not just emotionally, financially. She was planning something. Hiding money. Building a safety net. That's when I found the text thread, buried in her cloud backup, synced to the iPad we both forgot about. Lisa texting that same guy. "I'm just waiting for the equity to clear. Then I'm gone. Gone." She was planning to leave. Take the house. The money. Everything. I stared at the screen and felt something inside me snap, not with rage. Not even with sadness. With clarity. If she was building her exit. Then so was I the next morning. I sat in my truck outside the plant and called a lawyer. I told him everything. The infidelity. The secret bank account. The forged credit card. He didn't seem surprised, just asked for evidence. I had plenty. Over the next few weeks, I started making moves, but slowly, quietly. The kind of slow that doesn't raise alarms. I played dumb at home like I was trying to work through it. Like I was still the loyal fool she thought I was. I transferred our joint savings into a legal trust under my name, backed by the fact that most of the deposits came from my personal income. I refinanced the mortgage and, with my lawyer's help, started proceedings to buy out Lisa's share of the home. With evidence of her infidelity and financial fraud, the court approved a quiet title action. In simple terms, she no longer owned a brick of it. I rerouted utilities, passwords, even the streaming accounts. Every single piece of our shared life. I took it back. Meanwhile, Lisa walked around the house like she was royalty. Laughing on FaceTime, leaving shopping bags on the table, talking about trips she was thinking of taking. She had no idea the ground was shifting under her feet. One night, as we sat on opposite sides of the couch, she glanced at me and said, "It's nice you're finally trying again." I smiled. "Yeah, just tying up loose ends." She nodded, satisfied, and went back to her phone. That moment was the first time I felt calm in weeks, because I wasn't planning revenge. I was executing an escape, and when the trap closed, it wouldn't be loud, it would be final. It happened on a Friday. I was dead on my feet after a 16-hour shift. Just wanted to come home, eat something warm, and sleep without dreams. But as I turned onto our street, I noticed cars lined up like some kind of event. Music thumped from inside the house. Our house, at first I thought maybe Lisa had invited a few friends over. But as I opened the front door, I walked into a scene that hit me like a sledgehammer. Strangers everywhere. Loud laughter. Booze bottles on the counter. Someone was making out in the hallway. Someone else was dancing in their socks on my freshly polished floors. And then the couch I once slept on. During our first winter together was Lisa, draped across the lap of the same guy from the surveillance footage. She was laughing, a drink in one hand, her body practically tangled with his. She spotted me and rolled her eyes. "Oh, you're home," she slurred. "Didn't think you'd be back so early?" I didn't say a word. I stood there in the middle of my living room, with my jaw clenched so tight it hurt. Someone bumped into me, muttered my bad, and kept walking. Lisa leaned back, looked right at me and said, "Don't look so shocked. You were never really here anyway. Just a paycheck and a uniform." People laughed. I didn't even know who they were, but they laughed. I turned around and walked out, got in my truck, and cried. The kind of cry that comes from deep, buried places. The kind of cry you hide from the world because it makes you feel weak and stupid and worthless. I slept in the truck that night, parked outside a gas station. Windows cracked, heart bleeding, hands shaking. That was the moment I hit bottom. Not because she cheated, but because I finally believed I was nothing to her, and for the first time, maybe I believed it too. The next morning, I didn't go home. I drove straight to my lawyer's office, eyes still red, throat raw from silence. I slid my phone across the desk and said, "That's all the proof you'll need. The photos, the texts, the footage, the receipts." It wasn't revenge anymore. It was liberation. We finalized everything that day. The home was legally mine. The savings transferred. The debts isolated to her name, every unauthorized charge traced and backed with evidence. The paperwork was airtight. My lawyer said it was one of the cleanest slam-dunk divorce filings he'd ever seen. By sunset, I was back at the house. She was sitting on the patio, sipping some overpriced cocktail, sunglasses on like she was in a music video. I handed her a thick envelope. She looked up, smirking. "What's this, a love letter?" "No," I said. "It's your exit plan." She flipped through it, confused at first. Then her face paled. "This is a buyout. You took my name off the deed? You don't own this house anymore," I said. "You don't own anything in it either. You've got 7 days to move out." Her smirk cracked. "You can't do this. I already did." She exploded, cursing, screaming, accusing me of manipulation, control, betrayal. She threatened to ruin my life, said she'd tell everyone I was abusive, said no one would believe me. I calmly hit play. On my phone, a recording of her laughing with that guy about milking the marriage. Her face crumpled. "Don't talk to me," I said, voice level. "Don't touch anything that isn't yours. Don't even breathe near me." She looked at me like she was seeing a stranger. But I wasn't a stranger. I was just a man she never thought would wake up, and now that I had. She had nothing left to take. She stormed out that night, but came back the next day with fire in her eyes and venom in her throat. She demanded to speak, pleaded, cursed, threw insults like knives. 1 minute she was sobbing, the next she was threatening to take me for everything I had left. I didn't flinch. I had changed the locks, installed cameras. My lawyer was on speed dial. Every encounter was documented, recorded, and time-stamped. That week, she took to social media, posted vague captions about being betrayed by the man she trusted and escaping a toxic marriage. Mutual friends reached out, some confused, others angry on her behalf. I didn't respond, but I didn't stay silent either. I gathered everything, the screenshots of her messages to that guy, the financial records, the footage. And when her lies got louder, I sent the truth to the right people. Her parents. Her siblings. The 2 friends she hadn't yet alienated. It was never public, just accurate. Suddenly, the sympathy stopped. The calls dried up. And Lisa, she started unraveling. One night, she came pounding on the door, mascara smeared, slurring her words. "You ruined me," she cried. "Do you even feel anything?" I looked at her for a long time. Then I said, "You did that to yourself." I closed the door. I didn't check the peephole again. Didn't watch her leave because for the first time in years, I didn't owe her anything. Not time, not attention, not even anger. She tried to take everything. But I took back myself. And when you do that, when you reclaim your peace from someone who fed off your silence, there's nothing they can scream that will ever touch you again. After Lisa was gone, the silence in the house was almost unbearable. But over time, I stopped hearing it as emptiness and started hearing it as peace. No footsteps behind me. No fake sighs. No tension hanging in the air like a storm cloud. I got to work, literally and metaphorically. I cleared out everything she left behind her vanity table, her shoes, the overpriced juicer she never used. Every item was a reminder, and I was done being haunted. I repainted the walls, tore up the living room carpet and replaced it with hardwood. Swapped out the photos on the mantle for travel shots I'd taken years ago, never framed. The house finally felt like mine. I started cooking again, nothing fancy. Just real meals that didn't come in paper bags. played old records while I cleaned. Got back into running, hit the gym, even joined a weekend softball league with some coworkers. My friends noticed the change. "You look lighter," one of them said. I didn't realize how heavy I'd been carrying things until I wasn't anymore. Then came someone new. Her name was Maya, coworker in another department. Funny, grounded, smart in the kind of way that doesn't show off. We started talking casually over break room coffee, and over time, it became more. I told her everything. The divorce. The betrayal. The nights I spent breaking so someone else could live comfortably. She didn't pity me. She just listened. And one night, when she looked me in the eyes and said, "You didn't deserve what she did," I felt something I hadn't in years seen. We're taking it slow. I'm not rushing into another forever. But I'm finally okay with the idea that my story isn't over. It's just not hers to write anymore. It had been almost 7 months since Lisa walked out of my life. By then, the house was fully mine, just on paper, but in spirit. Every room had been reclaimed. The air felt cleaner. My nights were quieter. My mornings didn't start with a knot in my chest anymore. Then, one evening, just as the sun dipped behind the trees, there was a knock at the door. I opened it to find her standing there, Lisa. Mascara running? Hair a mess? No smugness in her voice this time. Just desperation. "Can we talk?" she asked, voice cracking. "Please." I stepped outside and closed the door behind me. "What do you want, Lisa?" she sniffled. "Cheated on me. Left me. Took the money and ran. I'm broke. I have nowhere to go." I didn't say a word. I just watched her, really watched her. For the first time, she wasn't wrapped in designer clothes or fake confidence. She looked small, lost. "I made a mistake," she whispered. "You were good to me. I didn't see it before, but I do now." I nodded slowly. "I'm sure you do." She reached for my hand, but I stepped back. "You didn't just leave," I said. "You drained me, lied to me, mocked me. You weren't blind. Lisa, you were cruel." "I know," she said, tears spilling now. "But people change." I looked her dead in the eyes. "They do." I did. And with that, I turned around and walked back inside. I didn't slam the door. I didn't shout. I didn't post about it or gloat. I just let it close. She had her freedom, and now I had mine. She thought I'd fall apart without her, but I became the man she never believed I could be, and the one she'll never have again.